Here we go. Good evening, everybody, and how are we all doing? Happy Easter to you all too. Hope everyone is well and having a great Easter. It's been fantastic weather, hasn't it? Absolutely fantastic weather. Now, tonight, I want to talk a little bit about how you go about controlling pests. But of course, before that, I'll run through what I've been up to over this last week. But first, let's see if anybody is out there. And I can see straight away, yes, Ballycillian is out there. Good evening to you. Turbo Stream is out there. My hair's a mess, sorry. Turbo Stream, good evening to you. Who else have we got? Anna Jones, good evening to you. Hope you're having a nice Easter. It's been lovely to have some time off work. Still got tomorrow to go as well. Stuart Jackson, evening Richard and the Veg Army. Hope everyone is well and enjoying the weather. It's been lovely weather, I've got to say. Steve, good evening to you. Hope you're well. Richard Golding, what a sunny day. Happy Easter to you all. Indeed. Hargrave Gas, hello everyone. Hope you've had a great week. Lovely weather this week, almost too hot. Excuse me. To work outside at times. No, it has been absolutely lovely, this weather. Richard Vobes, hello to you. Hope you are well. Chilly Kate, hello everyone. Watching from a sunny campsite. How fantastic. Fantastic. I was hoping to get some camping in done this weekend, but I ran out of time. Never mind, I've got a week off. Not this week, next week. So I'm going to do some then. I can see 3 eggs to your right. We haven't got started on yet. There's a few rules to do with that. Idaho Gargal, hello. Good evening to you. Kate Spratt, good evening. Veg Army, good evening to you. And Turbo Stream, good evening. Oh no, I've said hello to you. Good evening. Please do keep leaving your comments. But Stuart did mention about the eggs, and yes, scattered around here is some eggs, some Easter eggs. I haven't been given any Easter eggs this year, so all these eggs that we see are what me and my wife are going to be eating. So if you can see them, let us know. But there are also some rotten eggs, some false eggs. So be careful for those. Just let us know in the comments if you see any and where it is. Stigwell has joined. Say hi all from under my sunburned scalp. Yeah, it has been some rather sunny weather today, isn't it? Good evening, lovely weather. Love Lisa. Lovely to see you, Lisa. Idaho, last week someone mentioned you posted a good video. Tried to find your channel and couldn't find it. Do you have a YouTube channel? I think that was a video that was probably shown on here. The Easter Bunny been good to you? Indeed. Turbo Stream says, hope the show is excellent tonight. I hope it's excellent too. But Kate has spotted an egg above the hoe. So I've just realised if I stand up, you're probably going to see a bit too much. Above the hoe. I just dropped it. That one, unfortunately, is one of the rotten eggs. It is not a chocolate egg. It is just a bit of decoration. So, afraid that's not one there. Digwell says cracking. Yeah, posts on this channel. My dad's joined. Good evening. Carrots have shown their heads, enjoying the weather. Indeed. Charles Richardson, lovely to see you. I'm growing beetroot. Fantastic. Always good to grow beetroot, I think. Turbo Stream, I see an egg bottom left bin. This one here, indeed. It is a Cadbury's cream egg, so that is an official egg. So keep your guesses. If you see the eggs, let us know in the comments. Now, what have I been up to over this last week? It's been good weather, hasn't it? It's been very good weather, especially this weekend. I popped down to the allotment. I'm going to start Friday morning. Yeah, Friday morning. I'm confused with what day it is. Friday morning, I popped down to the allotment in the morning just for a quick walk, and then we came back home. What did I do on the allotment first of all? Just did a bit of tidying up, bit of weeding. We came home and I have cleared out the meadow area where I was having. Well, the plan was to have meadow and herbs and an orchard, a mini orchard. We've ripped it out and we've put the chickens there instead, just because we feel that's going to be better for the chickens and give us a better time. The herbs are still there at the moment, but all the other plants have gone. And this has opened up the veg garden, giving me room for another bed. I can see lots of guesses coming in, so I'll come back to what I'm doing in a second. So first of all, I'm guessing the bottom right bin is a rotten egg. Indeed, you are right. That is a rotten egg. Let me show you. It's a false egg. False egg. Idaho, large gold egg behind you. Ugh. That one, yeah. One large, that's the golden egg. The golden egg has been spotted. Turbo Stream, can we make those eggs about half a mile from my plot? Fantastic. On top of the tool rack, just above your head. Is that the blue one? I think it is the blue one. That is another rotten egg. That is unfortunately another rotten egg. What eggs seem to be spotted a lot better? Charles can see 4 eggs. Let us know where they are. Jenny Hullett. Hello, Richard and everyone. Happy Easter to you. Happy Easter to you. Hi, Richard from Adrian. Hello to you. Digwell, blue egg on the Colt 45 revolver on the pegboard. Colt 45 revolver. Colt. Oh, I see what you mean. That one. That is a real egg indeed. Right. Yeah, I think that's. Keep your guesses coming in. There are still a few more to be spotted. I think. Yeah, a few more to be spotted. What was I saying? So Saturday, Friday we've moved the chickens into a different area. We're going to get them a bigger cage eventually to give them more room to move around. I know technically at the moment we shouldn't move our chickens, but we felt they needed a bit of fresh land. Yesterday I didn't do any gardening actually, but today my wife and we have been clearing out our front garden because we're going to start growing some more food out there. This involved ripping out a lot of our privet bushes that are along the front. Hard work, I've got to say. We've been taking out a lot of the trees, the branches to try and get rid of them and make a bit more room there. Hard work, but we've got there. We've got a lot of the privet bush cut out, a few more branches to cut. Kept running out of battery on the chainsaw, so we'll worry about that another day. But on a whole, we've got the front garden cleared and ready for lots of pots. Also, we've been sowing a few seeds and pricking out lots of plants. Sown some beans, get those underway and ready for this growing season. So what about you guys? What have you been up to over this last week? Charles says, I'm growing lettuce. Always good to grow lettuce. In fact, on tomorrow's podcast, I'm talking about growing salad leaves and how to keep an all-round supply of salad leaves coming in. Adrian, top left tool rack, top left. Is that my left or your left? I'm going to guess your left. I think you have spotted another of the rotten eggs. One of the fake eggs. No chocolate involved in those. There's still a few more to go. Turbo Stream. I did a load of seed sowing this week. Parsnips, dwarf peas, beetroot, radish, and a few flower seeds. I think seed sowing is definitely well upon us. Parsnips are definitely going to be. I've got to sow parsnips soon, actually. But yeah, seed sowing is definitely here. We're going to be sowing lots and lots of seeds. I think it's also possible to start sowing seeds outside as well. Charles, Easter egg in a glove. Yes. Well spotted, that man. Let me get that one. It is. In fact, There was two in there. There was that one. And it fell on the floor. One of these little ones as well, which are also hidden all over the place. I don't expect anybody to see them because it's quite a big room to spot them. So much wind here. Idaho is saying so much wind there in Idaho. So she didn't get much done. That's unfortunate. Steve, lots of sowing. Carrots, beetroot, radish, more parsnips. Second lot of potatoes. Yes, excellent. It's good to hear a lot of people are sowing their seeds. I'm pleased to see it. I've got to sow some more carrots and beetroot and radish and parsnips, actually. All my potatoes are in. That's the only thing I have been able to do is get all my potatoes in the ground. I'm going to go on one of these. Lovely. Jenny has also been sowing seeds. Lettuce, cucumber, more corn, beans, squash and pumpkins. Prepping the veg plots ready for direct sowing. New zippy polytunnel is to go up. Lots to do. Turbo Stream. At home, I've been dividing some perennials to bulk up the flower bed on the plot. Also trim back some shrubs and loads of weeding. Loads of weeding indeed. Richard Rose, my basil has failed, but parsley is going great guns. How long ago did you sow your basil, and was it on your windowsill? Just a few questions I have there. Turbo Spring picked out 60 lettuce seedlings. That's a lot of lettuce, but why is it worth it? Chili Cake, we only had a spare hour and a half to get to the allotment between signing the tenancy on our new plot and coming camping, but we managed to make a start. That's the important thing. Making a start is often the hardest thing to do. I have to admit, I haven't done so much down the allotment this week because next Saturday, I'm spending a whole day on the allotment. It's my birthday. I've got members of my family and friends who are coming down as well, and because they want to see me, of course. And the rule I've got, if they're coming down and they want to see me, they've got to come to the allotment and pick up a spade and fork and start doing some weeding or something to help me catch up on things. So I haven't done much on the allotment this week, but the home plot is definitely getting there. Planted out some small lettuce plants that have been undercover for the last month. Yes, yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? This warm weather really does feel good to get on with the gardening at the moment. Carrots and parsnips up in paper pots, ready to go in the garden. Yes, we all know Stuart likes his paper pots, which are great because no pricking out; they just go straight in the ground and easy. Charles, is there an egg outside? No, there is no egg outside. They are all in view of this shot. So Richard sowed his basil about a month ago on the windowsill. I would have expected that to show, but there's a chance on your windowsill. It might just been a little bit too cold. It's been quite warm this last week, but I think over the last month it's been a little bit too cold, possibly. Just a thought. A wise man ropers in helpers on the plot. Yeah, well, it's more next week is about, I want to spend a whole day on my allotment and people are always wanting to see me on my birthday for some weird reason. So I just figured I'm going to hit two things on the head and get it done. Is there a green egg on top of the compost pots? Are you talking about these ones here? Well spotted, because in fact there's not just one. There's a. I'll tell you what, I'll show on this camera. There was 5 there. So well spotted, that one. I thought that might be a bit tricky. I had to build them up so they would be seen. My basil has been hit and miss too. Basic basil, good germination. Fancy ones, poor germination. What I find with basil, actually, it can be a bit tricky to germinate. But what I find with basil is that it likes, once it's growing, lots of water. Not sitting in water, but just lots of moisture in the soil. I found the best way I grew basil was to put it under my solar-powered watering system, and every 3 hours it just trickled some water in. It grew, it ran straight out pretty much, but it just kept the soil moist, and that's how I grew the best basil ever. Egg under the white sign. You have spotted a nut. Oh, hang on. Are you talking about that one? Because that's another, what do we call them? A rotten egg. But actually, I've just realised there was another one there as well, a proper one. This one's been opened. That one's been opened. I'm going to have to eat that, aren't I? Not while I'm talking to you guys, so I'll save that for later. It's Richard's Basil 40 then. Very good, very good. There's one that's under the white sign. Yep, we found that one. I'm trying to think, have we got any more? There's one more, I think, and a few of the small ones. There's this one under the white sun. Yep. Is there an egg on the blackboard? Actually, I'm just kind of in this. I don't have a blackboard here, so I'm not sure. Unless you're talking about the thing that says the Veg Grower Podcast. Let me know. Right. Well, keep guessing. There's a couple more to be spotted, and there's a few more rotten eggs, of course, but they're not the important ones. On the top bin, no, that is a rotten one, I'm afraid to say. One of the rotten ones. Small ones in the holder in the pegboard. Yep, in there. Well spotted. There was 3 in that one. So another one well spotted. Yes, the Veg Grower sign. Another one well spotted, because yes, there is another Cadbury's cream egg there. I think that's all of them. Yeah, is that all of them? I think that is all of the good eggs. Sorry, I didn't show that sign. That is all of the good eggs found, I think. I'm sure I'm missing one of them, though. No, I think that's all of them. There's just some of a couple of the smaller ones. Actually, I'm not sure you'll see them from there. And some more rotten eggs. Anyway, moving on from that. So I've run up what I've been up to over this last week. Tomorrow, we're going to carry on with our gardening, of course, an extra day off. No, there is one more. I've just remembered. There is one more egg. And then, so pest control. Pest control, which ties in quite nicely with what Digwell says. The mice will find the ones you miss, which is why we can't leave any behind, of course. Apart from anything, my wife is looking forward to eating some of these as well. So we don't eat much chocolate, to be honest, these days. So this is going to be a nice little treat. Is the tool bag? Close. Actually, I'm not sure you can quite see it. If I'm going to sit like this and see if anybody will see it. So yes, pest control. How do you control pests in your garden and in your allotment? I've got to admit, I don't get many problems so much with pests. I'm quite lucky here. I don't know if it's the seagulls or what, but slugs and snails, we don't get many. I don't really lose much to slugs and snails. Now, I think it could be the seagulls that have eat all the slugs and snails and get rid of them. But also, I very rarely sow anything directly where it is to grow. And that's why I sow a lot of things in my shed and grow them on. So slugs and snails tend to like the smaller plants. I even grow hostas actually outside, which are meant to be a magnet for the for slugs and snails, but I find I get away with it. In my opinion, because, as I say, I suspect the seagulls, but also I encourage wildlife into my garden. So I like to encourage the little birds to come along and eat the slugs and snails. I like to encourage hedgehogs in my garden and on my allotment to come along and eat the slugs and snails. And something I'm going to be trialing this year is this stuff, which grazes slugs and snails. Works on all green growth. So that's two of the things with slugs and snails to kick off this pest control conversation. Over to you guys. Is in the right hand corner on the tool rack. Yeah, there we go. That was the last one spotted. Well done, Ballycillian. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? The main pest we get are pigeons attacking the brassicas, followed by white butterflies on the plot. So how do you deal with them? For pigeons, I usually just cover over my brassicas with a bit of net to try and keep them out. But of course, that means the little birds don't get in to eat on the other things that might eat the birds. So what else I can do? I've got scarecrows. Scarecrows, they work quite nicely. Scare tape, which is a bit of reflective tape that glistens in the sun and scares off a lot of birds. And another thing that we have at home particularly is Roxy, my dog. Yesterday, she sat out in the garden barking at a pigeon that dared to sit on the fence. So that's something you can also look at getting as well, a dog. Pests, my biggest one is slugs. I use sheep's wool, eggshells as well as copper rings. Also have a couple of bird feeders, so the birds help me loads. I used to use the sheep's wool pellets when I was trying to be more and more organic. I gave up using them. They worked. Don't get me wrong, they did work. But I gave up using them because, wow, I don't have that many problems with them. Eggshells I always incorporate into my composting as well, and the copper rings I've yet to try. Definitely something to consider though. I'm in two minds whether I want to grow brassicas. I used to net last year's, but the holes are too big to stop the butterflies. That's exactly what I find when I netted the brassicas. That's why I lean more towards using scarecrows and reflective tape, because I want to keep the finches, the chaffinches, to come along and eat a lot of the bad pests as well. Whereas netting it just stopped everything. Good housekeeping. Keep the beds clear of dead leaves so slugs can't hide below them. That's a very good tip, actually, especially with brassicas. When the leaves start to turn yellow, remove those straight away, and it helps keep them clean and keep the slugs and snails away. After all, it is decaying matter, and slugs and snails do tend to try and eat decaying matter. I was looking at butterfly netting online this afternoon. I had no experience on how well it works, so if anybody has used butterfly netting, let us know. I was just about to plant a 1 kilogram condor potato in a 50-litre bucket and saw a few white grubs. Dig deeper and found hundreds of vine weevil. They must have came in as eggs in a crappy peat-free compost. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I know a lot of people are still debating about how good peat-free compost really is. Something we discuss quite often. But to have vine weevil come in on the same stuff. I've heard of vine weevils coming in on plants bought from a garden centre. But vine weevil, which is a particularly nasty weevil, it eats the roots of your plants. Got really itchy nose tonight. Eats the roots of your plants, and you end up your plants dying and leaving you with nothing. Best way I find to get rid of, if you have grubs, best way I find to get rid of them is to empty all your compost onto a big tarpaulin sheet, and again let the birds come along and eat them. I'm just going to put the link. If you want to set yourself in and appear on screen, or then please do click the link that's gone up in the comments, or you can call in on the phone number across the bottom of the screen, 07307 135 174. Enviro Fleece is great for keeping the butterfly out, as well as carrot root fly. So EnviroFleece is a very fine mesh, as we know. Stuart says it's very good for keeping the butterflies out and keeping the carrot root fly out. But does it, this is what always worried me, does it allow enough light through for your plants to not be affected? That's what I've always worried about with netting, is that it doesn't always let light through. That's what I've always worried anyway. I get some really fine netting that kept the carriage white butterflies out. My main issue is pigeons. They can't net everything, and they seem to like everything I grow. So I know pigeons can be a big problem. We do get a few pigeons. I don't suffer with many losses from pigeons, but what I do find, scarecrows, as I said, they work really nicely at keeping the pigeons off. Something I mentioned before that I also do, I go into a pound shop and I buy kid dinosaurs, and I put those around my beds. And I believe, and I don't know if it's actually true or not, but it seems to work for me, but these little dinosaurs have to move them around every now and then. But these little dinosaurs just being in the bed seem to scare off the beds as well, because they think it's, in the bird's eyes, it's a predator that might come along and eat them. It's a cheap way of doing it, and like I say, seems to work. Gazers do a caterpillar spray too. Yeah, gazers do a lot of things. I'm in conversation with them at the moment as well. Family just popped around. I'll watch later from Jenny. No worries. You take care, Jenny, and thank you for joining anyway. Anna Jones, for strawberries in pots, a good layer of fine grit on top deters vine weevils. A layer of grit can also deter carrot fly in beds. Not heard of that one, but it makes sense actually, because definitely with a carrot root fly, after all, because I believe the carrot root fly, the fly drops its eggs and they have to burrow down, and then it causes no end of problems burrowing into your carrots. So the grit just, I can see that preventing them from doing so. Charles is growing basil, and Digwell says, excuse me, grazers do a pigeon spray too called G1, also good against deer and rabbits. Again, this grazer stuff keeps coming up and up from Digwell. I'm emailing them at the moment to find out a bit more and trying to see what we can do with them to get this a bit better moving along. So yeah, so far, vine weevils, carrot root fly, and various slugs and snails and pigeons seem to be the biggest problems that people have. We mentioned mice earlier, and what I find with mice and rats is that they're usually, the allotment will always have rats. I don't care what anybody says, allotment will always have rats, and rats are always going to be around. But mice and rats are usually after two things: food and water. And what I find, again, good husbandry, good housekeeping, clear away all that stuff, make sure there's nothing left that they can eat, and everything's stored correctly, seems to scare them off quite nicely. If you've got a pond, there's a good chance they are attracted by that as well. Stuart says, I used it last year at home and school. This is Enviromesh. No carrot fly or caterpillars, but where I use normal fleece, my sprouts got eaten by insects. So I'll buy more EnviroFleece this year to cover all my beds. You can also wash the fleece in the washing machine, so you can pull it away clean in the autumn. That's very good actually. I've like I say, I've heard a lot about EnviroFleece. I didn't know it was machine washable, so that makes it a lot more appealing to me, because it's quite expensive to buy, and therefore the least money we can spend on it, or if it lasts longer than one season, then I'm happy to spend money on that. What I'm liking at the moment is nobody is actually talking about proper chemical solutions for these pests. I think I'm liking this. I like this a lot. I'm just having another little Kinder Egg. We have badgers to contend with too. I quite like badgers actually, but I know they can be a big problem. I think I've said my story before about how my old allotment, we used to get badgers all the time, and they would chew at the base of sweet corn, topple the sweet corn over to then get to the sweet corn. And most people also didn't grow their grow sweet corn on that allotment site because of the badgers. So I ended up growing my sweet corn in a big wooden container, and I ended up being able to produce sweet corn. I was the envy of the plot site. So what I find with badgers, the best way is to try and prevent them from getting your plots. Just try and make the most of it. Easier said than done, I know, because they are quite vicious, but I did find it worked for me. Anna Jones says, I tried an ultrasonic mouse repeller in the garage once. Useless. I hear that a lot about the ultrasonic equipment, the fox scarers, the mice and cat scarers. My father-in-law used to have one in his garden, and me and my wife, whenever we walked in, we'd have to pop fingers in our ears to get past it because it was such a high-pitched squeal in our ears. It was horrible. But I don't think they ever worked at scaring off the foxes. So I don't understand how they are meant to work. I mean, all they do is seem to annoy people with good hearing. Richard, have a good Easter. You have a good Easter too, Charles. Turbo Stream, I gave up growing at home because of slugs, but only suffer a bit at the allotment. Perhaps there is too much choice for them. I do think, actually, slugs and snails will always go for the easier food. And if there's a lot of choice, like most things, they're going to multiply in that area. They're going to start breeding in that area. I think one of the best ways that I know of to control slugs and snails is to go out every night with a torch and collect all the slugs and snails and put them in a bucket and then take them somewhere miles and miles away, because they do home in back to their location, but take them miles and miles away to get rid of them. Slugs and snails, I think, are the biggest or the number one problem that gardeners report. And now the particular type of slug pellets are now banned, I think more and more people are going to have trouble with them. Like I said, I'm a big believer in encouraging your natural wildlife, the natural predators in, to take care of them for you. Best thing is they do it when you're not there as well. So, and also, if they can keep the numbers down, they will stay down. The environment fleece I have was my dad's, so I have over 5 years. I don't know how long he had it before, but it's well worth the extra cost. My local garden centre sell it by the metre, which is cheaper. Fantastic. I'm going to look at getting some soon. The razor stuff is calcium rich, which is absorbed by the leaves. Pests eat a bit, hate it, and move on. Only need to reapply because of plant growth or really heavy rain. I do it weekly anyway. I'm really looking forward to testing this out, actually. As I say, it's difficult for me to test slugs and snails because I get very few problems, or any of the pests that we may have. I get very few problems. But I'm looking forward to testing this out. Rebecca has joined. Good evening. I'm sorry I'm late. I was in the garden. Didn't realise the time. It's been so lovely. I actually thought more people would be out in their garden. I really struggled to drag myself away from outside to come and do this show. But as always, I always try and make sure I'm here. So yeah. Trying to think, what other pests did we have? Left all my notes inside, of course, didn't I? I tell you what, I've got a few photos that I want to go through as well. Let's have a quick look at these photos that have came in, because there's some really, really good ones. Of course, as always, please do keep sending your photos in to me. Now, Turbo Stream has been protecting his crops with this netting. I quite like the looks of these. I've seen a few of these. Pop-up netting goes over, looks like his brassicas in there, and protects them really nicely. I think this is his compost bay made out of pallets, also looking rather nice and dapper, I've got to say, looking really good. More crop protection from another angle. I like these pop-up crop protectors. I think they're easy to use and easy to store. Oh, excuse me. My hiccups are starting. And his onions are protected from, I'm guessing, pigeons with this method of just using a bit of wire mesh made into an arch over the onions, which stopped them being plucked out. Richard Robes, I thought I made this picture a bit bigger. Apologies for that. This is butter beans that he was given, and he's planted some in the pot, and it seems to be off to a good start. Never tried growing butter beans. I always thought they needed a nice, warm, hot summer. Might happen this year. We never know. But his Charlotte potatoes are also starting to show. If anybody doesn't know, Richard Vobes, aka the Bald Explorer, who's keen to grow some food in a field at some point. Interesting YouTube channel, interesting podcast. And as you can see, Charlotte potatoes are really starting to show. Looking pretty good, I've got to say. Next, Toby Oxford has shared this photo of his broad beans, which are showing up and looking pretty good. Nice and full and plenty of foliage going on there. He's also got his fennel, which is also looking really good. Got to be said, really, really good. Stephen, from who has joined in tonight, I saw him earlier. He shared this photo of his plans that he made of his garden. A couple of years ago, when lockdown started, he started growing food in his garden as well as his allotment, and this is the result. These wooden made beds, sleepers. That's the word I was looking for. Taken up much of his garden. I've been there, sat in those very chairs right there. But I tell you what, it's the way we got to move forward. I think if we can use as little space as we can, or as much space as we can to grow food, it can only be a good thing. Kate has harvested a lot of rhubarb. As you can see, that's quite a big handful of rhubarb right there. But more importantly, look at all this. It looks absolutely fantastic. Good lot of rhubarb, a rhubarb jungle as I call it. Stuart has been a money-saving tip here. If you've got an old grow house, one of the 4-tier grow houses, and it collapses like they often do, save the wire shelves to grow peas up like Stuart has done just here. There we go. So please do keep sharing your photos either by email, richard@veggrowpodcast.co.uk, in the Facebook group, or you can find me on social media. At this point, also, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe and follow, and click the bell notification to know when we go live. We always go live on a Sunday at 6, of course. We might do a few more during the week every now and then as well. Jen's Garden Adventures has joined. Good evening to you. Happy Easter. Hope you are well. Charles is saying, how do you get rid of ants? I don't get rid of ants. They don't bother me. I've never had a problem with ants. I know the old method was just to pour boiling hot water over them, but I don't like that. Don't like that at all. Ants don't cause a problem, in my opinion, anyway. Digwell, lights can attract slugs and deter hedgehogs, so turn off all those pretty little LED solar lights. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. I never understand why people feel the need to illuminate their dark garden at night with these solar lights when they don't really do anything. Obviously, I like the ones that are motion activated. That makes sense. Although again, it can scare off the hedgehogs. We have earwigs over here. They can decimate a garden overnight. That's why I start everything indoors. Earwigs love mulch. They live and hide there. Slug pellets, how to get rid of them. Now, we get earwigs here, but we don't get them causing many problems. And I don't know. I think it's a bit like woodlouse. Woodlouse sometimes gets the blame for causing damage to plants, but woodlice actually come in after a plant has damaged, and they eat decaying material. So quite often is possibly the slug. You say slug pellets, they're probably getting rid of the slugs, which are causing the initial damage, and then the earwigs are possibly coming along and doing more. I don't know, but I certainly think that's the case with woodlouse. My rhubarb is well behind. I only really just started to grow. hoping it's a late variety and not that I've done something wrong. Mulched with loads of manure in the winter. My rhubarb we've started harvesting our rhubarb, but I do think April can be a little bit too early to harvest unless you've got an early variety. But we've got lots and lots of rhubarb. We've always ended up with too much rhubarb, to be honest, but I do enjoy it. We harvested our first rhubarb the other day, which I've juiced to make rhubarb juice, something a bit different. Won't be long till we're getting fed up of rhubarb, though, to be honest. Rhubarb crumble, rhubarb cake, all the various things, but it's tasty, isn't it? Wilco does EnviroFleece, but the size is odd, 2 meters by 5 meters. I brought some and made some seed bed covers. Well, funny enough, my old, what is it got? Cold frame. The top panels blew out on it, and it's not all that old, to be honest. And I'm looking at putting EnviroMesh across that to harden off a lot of my plants. Funny enough, Richard Vapes is stewing rhubarb right now. I'll have to drop some rhubarb around to you at some point because we're going to have plenty of it. Steve, for slugs as well as good housekeeping, tidying up the decaying matter, etc. Also removing places they like, such as under old bits of wood, grass paths, and wooden edging on the beds. All very true. Yes, they do like to hide, and the odd flower pot. Sometimes it can be a good thing, though, isn't it? I think the old tip was to get like a grapefruit. Grapefruit skin, like, so you've cut a grapefruit in half, you've eaten out the fruit, and you're left with skin. And put that out overnight, upside down, and in the following morning you lift it up, and there you've got a load of slugs and snails which are taking cover in that grapefruit, which just makes them easier to remove and get out of the area. Pots as well, they like to hide in pots. Again, I always find that it's just best to try and encourage them. I like to put them on bird tables for the birds as often as I can. So yeah. I'm removing wood from around beds. As Steve said, I found a load of slugs under a length of it. There you go. I think that's a very good point. I mean, slugs and snails like somewhere cool and moist, so they need somewhere to maintain that moisture levels, which makes sense, hiding under wood. I would like to thank for the team for the advice about rhubarb, as I planted new plants this year and didn't know you have to leave it for a year. You do have to leave it for a year to establish. I know Stuart asked this question in the Facebook group the other day, but there was also, I grow some rhubarb from seed this year, which has been pricked out. It's looking absolutely fantastic. But when I was researching this particular variety, it said if you sow them early enough, there's a chance you could actually harvest it in that first year. Personally, I still wouldn't harvest until next year. But I've got a lot of rhubarb now, a lot of rhubarb plants, which are these grown from seeds. So I might have to give some away at some point. Please do send over rhubarb. And Charles is also growing rhubarb. Rhubarb has got to be one of my favourite plants to grow. I think a few plants, and it's very easy to get a year-round supply of rhubarb and not have to buy any rhubarb from a shop. By the way, Ian McGorgan has given thank you very much, Ian. I've got to go and meet up and record a podcast with you at some point, Ian, via Richard Vapes, of course. A warming cable, that's going to come into a lot of use. Look forward to doing something with that. We have to accept a bit of damage. If we poison slugs, we also poison the frogs and hedgehogs, etc. that eat them. That's so true. That is so true. This is why I don't like to use poisons at any time. I prefer either deterrents or natural predators. Poisons, just to me, just seem so wrong. So wrong. But again, I come back to this this thing that I don't suffer from much in the way of pest problems. And I put that purely down to the fact that I don't use poisons, I don't use chemicals, it's all natural. And therefore that just nature encourages nature. And we end up getting the birds come in, as I say, they eat the slugs and the snails. They possibly also eat things like I don't know about carrot root fly, but they possibly eat all the white caterpillars as well. I know my chickens, and I've seen them. A cabbage white butterfly flew past, and my chicken was there trying to grab it in its beak. It was so hungry. Well, not hungry, but just a way to give it a bit. A bowl of cheap bird seed, the stuff full of cereal grain, is a good lure for slugs. Works like slug pellets without the poison. Good point. Good point. Yeah, cheap bird seed full of cereal grain, good lure for slugs. And also, I think that is a good way to encourage in all the. Well, if you're feeding the birds again, they come in and they eat the slugs and snails. Charles is asking, how is lovely Julia? I think she's okay. Let us know, Vosy, how is lovely Julia? I mentioned carrot root fly. Carrot root fly is always a problem that I've never actually had a problem with carrot root fly, but it's one I often hear of. And what I think is probably the best way to avoid carrot root fly. Carrot root fly cannot fly over, I think it's a metre high, maybe a foot, but something like that. They cannot fly above a certain height. If you get your carrots up high, you're not going to get any problem with carrot root fly. The other thing to remember as well, if you can't get them up high, net them with EnviroFleece is the method that we've talked about, or harvest in the morning and the evening and water straight away. That way, the carrot root fly won't smell your carrots. Then there's something that we spoke about. We did companion planting a couple of weeks ago. Growing high-smelling plants alongside your carrots, such as onions, will also deter carrot root fly. Now, I know not everybody knows what carrot root fly and a lot of the things. That's why I keep going over what the certain pests do. And what I find carrot root fly, what they do is they'll come along, they'll lay some eggs, and these little maggots will then burrow into your carrots to incubate and grow. So that's why we want to discourage a lot of the carrot root fly. I'm really struggling my words tonight. Apologies, everyone. I'm a bit hungover, if I'm honest. I went out drinking last night. First time I've drunk in years, so apologies for that. Slug pellets are made of barn. I think that's meant to be bran, which I think, if I remember correctly, bran swells up inside slugs and snails, and that kind of gently kills them off, and birds can still eat it. Only thin out carrots in the evening too, as Richard mentioned. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, thin them out in the evening and harvest them in the evening when there's less likely the carrot root fly is less likely to be around. Julia is good. Thank you. You're welcome. Carrot root fly can't go over a metre. I thought it was a metre, so I grow mine in buckets, which I can cover easier. I think it was, we had a video from, it was either Ballycillian or, I think it was Ballycillian that may have sent me the video. I can't remember now. And he had his carrots up on stilts quite up high. And that looked like a really good way of keeping out the carrot root fly. Am I correct on that memory? Let me know, please. But don't forget, you can call in 07307 135 174, or you can zap in. Let's add a link into the comments right now, like so. Let's get rid of that. You can zap in on the link that is going up in the comments right now as well and appear on screen. I was right, it was Ballycillian that sent me the video. I thought it was. Am I? My message hasn't gone to Facebook, so I'm just going to send it again. There we go. There we go. Sometimes I swear I need somebody here. Somebody as a producer on this. Sometimes just doing all the buttons for me and keep me going. Keep me going. Right. Yes. So, what other pests does anybody else have to deal with? Like I say, it's difficult for me this one because I don't get many problems with pests. You remember a few weeks ago we were talking about what were we talking about? Natural remedies, and we made some garlic spray. Now that's meant to be another way of deterring slugs and snails as well, as I understand it. Spray this liquid on, and the smell of the garlic pots off all the slugs and snails as well. Just as another remember, I'm just memorising that. Is everything okay out there? Because it's suddenly just gone very quiet. Charles is growing carrots. There you go. How are you growing? Are you growing them in buckets or are you growing them on in the ground? I do tend to grow mine in the ground, I've got to admit. My carrots are usually in the ground along with my parsnips, and I just find that I cover them over. Again, I've not really suffered much from carrot root fly, so I don't have that. Basically, my buckets are higher because although carrot fly can only fly 1 meter high, a wind draft can make them fly a bit higher. Oh, there you go. Because if I remember correctly, they were about 5 to 6 foot high, if I remember correctly. So yeah, by getting them up high and even a bit higher than a meter, just helps reduce the risk of it. My only other pest is the deer, which love to poop in the garden from time to time. Now, again, deer, I've not had a problem where I am. Where I used to live, I used to get deer in the front garden. And what I found, again, I didn't mind deer so much, but they do cause quite a bit of damage. I think one of the methods that I've read to get rid of deer is to hang up bars of soap about 3 foot off the ground. And what that's meant to do is the deer come along and they start to sort of lick and munch at the soap, don't like the taste of it, and then run off. So that's an idea. I'm not sure I like that idea myself. It feels I don't, as you know, I don't like hurting any animal at all. I don't like. It's amazing I'm not a vegan because I'm quite passionate about animal welfare. But the thought of a deer licking up some soap, I mean, it's better than poisoning it, of course, but it just doesn't sit comfortably with me. But again, that's a method I have heard of. Toby Stream has started a bucket of the Supporters Club carrots at home. Excellent. When did the carrots go out? Was it this month or last month? I can't remember. 5 foot high. Excellent. What variety of pumpkin can I grow for seed roasting? Seed roasting. Probably Rose Viften Tempus. That's quite a good one. Or trying to think of the blue one that I like as well, and I can't think what it's called. It's escaped me. I've got. If you want to grow pumpkins, Richard, I might have some seeds you can use. Carrot root fly can also climb up the sides of containers and even fences to get from one garden to the next. Yeah, well, this is what always got me about carrot root fly. Actually, they say they can't fly over 1 meter, but what if the ground's already a meter up? My old allotment, what I had terraced because it was on a hill, so I terraced it, and the carrots at the very top, they would still get hit by carrot root fly, and even compared to the ones at the bottom. But I think they would come down. They would come from the top and work their way down. If you smell the chlorogenic acid from your if they smell the chlorogenic so carrot root fly smells the chlorogenic acid. That's what they're doing. I did try carrots between onions one year. No root fly, but that was at home behind the 6-foot high fences. Yeah, I mean, fences are not fly proof. The carrot root flies are tiny, tiny little flies, so they can get through the tiniest of gaps. So yeah, I struggle with lily beetle, but I have to say my snail population is definitely down. I'm sure I have a hedgehog hoovering everything up for me. Hedgehog, I think it's something like 5 to 10% of its food will be slugs and snails, but they definitely are worth getting in your garden for that very reason. They definitely help keep the population down. I have to share some photos of your garden some point, Rebecca, again, because I know your garden is absolutely beautiful, and I think a lot of it, your garden, is you attract a lot of the birds in. Lily beetle. I've had problems with rosemary beetle, which is almost like a mirror thing. And I found the only way to get rid of that was to basically kill off the beetle. Again, insects in. Lily beetle, I'm not sure. So I'll throw that out there. Anybody else got any ideas on how to deal with lily beetle? But listen, I'm trying a few rows in the ground this year, in rows between my onions, and using pelleted carrot seeds, so no thinning out experiment. Please do let us know how you get on with this pelleted carrot seeds, because I'm not sure. I've seen it. I've never been sure whether it's worth the extra, because they're quite expensive for the pelleted carrot seeds. I'm never sure whether it's worth doing it or buying it on seed tape. So it'd be interesting to see how you get on with that, Ballyslien. Strings of bunting deter deer. They don't like little flags fluttering in the breeze. It scares them off. That makes a lot of sense then. Anything like that. Bunting and flags, that seems to work quite nicely. I guess it's the same as the scare tape that I used a while ago. That seemed to work really nicely at scaring off, the scare tape, which is like, well, let me explain the scare tape. I'm really, really struggling to be coherent today. Scare tape on the allotment, it's about an inch thick, and it's like tin foil on one side and then red foil on the other side. And I string that up, I let it wave in the wind, and it'll catch the sunlight and just cause that flickering effect, which seems to scare off a lot of birds and a lot of other pests. These are obviously the bigger pests, and I found it works really, really well. So the strings of bunting deterring deer is similar to that. It scares off all the stuff. I've noticed actually my neighbours on the plot next to me on the allotment, they hang up pretty much anything that'll flutter in the winds. It could be carrier bags or little bits of plastic, just to create that sort of fluttering effect to scare off any of these pests. So yeah. Grazers does a lily beetle spray as well. So there you go. Grazers, I think it was Rebecca. Grazers, let me get in touch with them and I'll see what we can do about that, because I think I've got quite a good conversation going with them at the moment. Rebecca, I'll send you a tour. I've done a whole new project on the front garden, so I'll show you that as well. Yes, please do, because we're busy, as you know, ripping out our front garden, which is more of a driveway, to be honest, but we had a few plants out there. And I'm going to be adding more and more of our fruit trees and bushes out in our front garden to try and grow and produce more food out there, rather than let it go to waste, because it's not a huge front garden. I reckon we can fit 3 cars out there. Just about, and it just seems like a shame to not let it be used for anything like that. So yeah, converting our front garden slowly as well. Has anybody else spotted any of the other little Easter eggs? There's a couple of the small ones and a couple more of the rotten eggs as well. that are hiding in this garden somewhere. In this shed, shed. Oh, my eyes. It's my fault for going out having a drink last night, so I can only got myself to blame. Right, what are we? 7 o'clock. Time's flying. Don't forget to give us a like, subscribe, click the thumbs up, and all that jazz if you are enjoying this show. Helps get people find it, especially on YouTube. More thumbs up, more people, the algorithm works, more people will see it and come along. I believe that's how it works anyway. What we're going to do next week is, I'm trying to think what we got next week. Running out of items. How often do you water your plants? That's what we're going to do next week. Anyway, did you have a celebration, Richard? That's next Saturday. I'm having a celebration on the allotment for my birthday. So it's not my birthday till next Saturday. So next Sunday, I'll be a year older when I come on this show, believe it or not. Is there an egg on the top left bin? It's a rotten egg. You're right. It's a rotten egg. I think there's one more rotten egg somewhere. I don't even know where it is myself, I think. Yeah, I know where it is now. I know. Charles is saying goodbye. He's obviously off. You take care, buddy. Lovely to see you again. Oh, blimey. Well, expect another hangover. No. I normally say I don't drink, so I won't be drinking next week. That's for certain. It's only yesterday I just fancied a couple of cans of cider, and then I'm paying for it now. Literally, I've only had 2 pints last night and I'm paying for it. It's how little I drink, so my own fault. And then what we got? Friday after that, Gardener's World. I'm looking forward to that. Gardener's World live. We're down at Bewley. That's going to be a good show. I went to that last year, the first one they did. This year, I think it's going to be even bigger and better. So I'm really looking forward to that show. I'm going to go have a look at the cars in the Motor Museum, as well as the gardens at Bewley House as well. Also, I've got a question to ask everyone. Who here watched Gardener's World Friday night? I haven't got TV anymore, so I missed. Not that I ever watched it, but I saw something on Facebook that they were at a walled garden in West Sussex, and I'm wondering which walled garden it was. So if anybody did watch it, can you let me know and whether it was any good? Like I said, I don't watch it because I haven't even got a TV license anymore. Richard, could we have a chat some week about potting on seedlings when and how often and how to water? I tell you what, yeah, I can potting on seedlings. I can do that next week as well because I've got quite a few seedlings to pot on. I'll show you how I do it as well, and then we'll talk about how to water, etc. as well, and how often do you water your garden. We'll throw that all in on next week. We make a note of that. Potting on and water. Make a note of that. Alison, evening all. Sorry I'm late. I'm laid up with a bad cold. There must be something going around. I'm sorry to hear that, Alison. I hope you feel better soon. I know COVID's still going around. I know a few people that have been really hit by that. So very sorry to hear that. No TV license here also, so I didn't watch it. The episodes pop up on YouTube, though. I thought they'd pop up on YouTube. I struggled to watch. This is going to be really bad of me to say this because I know Gardener's World is often considered the pinnacle of gardening TV, but I struggle to watch it. I struggle to watch TV at the best of times, so it's not really a good example. But I find I just got a little bit bored of it. And there was an article I read last week from James Wong about how gardening TV could do with being jazzed up a little, shall we say, and made it a bit more interesting. Got loads of barking and shouting going on outside. I don't know if you can hear that. Been a very quiet week on my sale table. We banked £800 so far this year, which has pushed Deanne Jackson to over £16,000. £800 is still pretty good going. I think this week, because weather has been so good, I think garden centres have been quite busy, weirdly. I've started watching Beech Grove on YouTube. I've never watched an episode of Beech Grove either. I hear good things about Beech Grove, and I keep saying I should watch it, but I've never managed to watch it. So I'll make a note of that to watch that as well. That's going to be a subject. What TV programs? What gardening TV programs do you watch? But there's so few nowadays. I think that. There's not much choice, I don't think, when it comes to that. Right. What else have we got? Rebecca says she enjoys Beech Grove. Here we go, Beech Grove. So Beech Grove does seem to be a very popular one. I've never seen a single episode. Isn't it up near Scotland? I believe it's set. And there's a lot more veg gardening that goes on in it, but I've yet to watch it. Like I say, even Gardener's World, I know that's considered to be a must-see for many gardeners. I've tried watching episodes of it. I get bored so easy. I'd struggle watching anything, as many of you know. But I got bored watching Gardener's World that I can only watch it in dribs and drabs. I'm just interested to know where they were in West Sussex this week. TurboStream, Beech Grove is way better than Gardener's World, but mostly YouTubers for good gardening content advice. Yeah, I mean, I find YouTubers I prefer to watch YouTubers because they got more real life gardening, is what I call it. You haven't got a controlled environment where everything's done for cameras, because they're making a TV show first and foremost, of course. So yeah, I prefer YouTubers and a bloke in Littlehampton on his podcast, of course. Oh yeah, I've heard about that bloke in Littlehampton. Really like Beech Grove. They explain everything in plain English, no fancy names. You're starting to sell me on Beech Grove. If it's on YouTube, I'll have to try and watch it. By the way, that reminds me, Digwell, I think it was last week you said about your YouTube video on compost. And was it the one, I think I watched it last week, where Mother Earth compost really did have a huge difference. If anybody hasn't seen that video and is looking at investing in compost, go and check out that Digwell's video, because the difference was really noticeable between all four types of compost that he was using. And the Mother Earth compost, huge plant. Hopefully I'm right on that. Because I meant to message you about it. Yeah. Tomorrow, another day of work. So I'm looking forward to doing more in the garden. I'm going to run to a garden centre. Not a garden centre. I'm going to run to a car boot first thing in the morning and have a browse around up there and see if there's anything I can find cheap to use in the allotment. I've been given some concrete tubes that I think they're something to do with drainage that are going down the allotment as well, and I'm going to be using those as a decorative piece to grow various plants in. I think they're going to look really good. They're only about that big. They're not hugely big ones, but they're about that big, and I think I've got 9 of them, about a foot tall. Fill those up with compost and then put a few plants in there. Herbs are going to look great in that, I think. Gardener's World is typical BBC. Here, one I did earlier. Yeah, I agree with that. Margaret says, I think it might be Denman's garden in Fontwell, which not sure, but that's where I think it was. I've never been to Denman's, so that's going to be an interesting one. On that note, actually, that does remind me, we spoke about doing a Veg Grower podcast meetup And I've announced it on the podcast and to the supporters club. We are doing it on the 3rd of September. And it's going to be in Worthing. We're going to meet up at a local garden. That's free to get in. Have a wander around there, and then head down the beach and have a bit of a barbecue and something. So, what I've asked people to do is email me if they are interested in attending, and that way I can start. Because what I don't want to do is put out where it's going to be and what we're doing and everything, so that we end up with more people than what I expect to turn up. I'm going to try not so much control the numbers because many people can turn up, but we've got to think about if we're going to be doing a barbecue, how many sausages and things to buy so that we can control it that way. So Richard at adventuregrowerpodcast.co.uk if you are interested in this meetup. 3rd of September is the Saturday I've set for it. As I say, it's in Worthing. I know that's probably not easily accessible for everyone, but for the first meetup, I just thought it's going to be the best, easiest way to do it this year. What have we got? Yeah, but Rebecca says, I agree, Ballysian. There are real people with real problems in real life. That's talking about Beach Grove. I'm gonna have to try and watch it. I will try and watch it this evening, or just one episode, if it's on YouTube. That is. Digwell videos are too good. I must have put on a stone. Yes, it does make you want to go and eat, doesn't it? Digwell's videos are very good. Indeed, they are. They do make you want to go and eat something. But also the consistency. A big thing is consistency in keeping up with sending out the video. So I struggle with making videos, as everybody knows. It's more the sitting down and editing. I have the date on my calendar. Hopefully, will come, but it's a long way from me. I know it's a long way. It's a long way for most people, except myself. It's just the logistics of it. We've got to be able to try and manage it and see how we can do. That's why I've done it close to me. I can then see how it goes and see what we learn from this first one, and then perhaps next year we'll do one further afield. It's also trying not to get people to spend money that they don't have to as well. That's why I've chosen a garden that's free to go and have a look around. That's my logic anyway, as I say. Sean O'Brien, good evening all and a happy Easter. Good evening to you. Yeah, I'll put that in the diary. As I say, if you do want to come along to that meetup, just register send me an email to register your interest, and then I can add you onto the list. Even if you don't come, but you just want to, or even if you can't make it on the day, but you want to be able to keep in the loop, it's going to be the best way. And like I say, apart from travel expenses, and if you do want some food or drink or anything, it's not going to cost you anything to do. That's so very important to me. Right, we've got about 15 minutes to go. If anybody does want to call in, 07307 135 174, and add the link to that. Bally Sim says, Richard, we had our honeymoon cancelled because of COVID restrictions and have booked a holiday away from this year's anniversary in September. Sorry, I will miss your get together. Well, have a happy wedding anniversary. More importantly, nothing like these COVID restrictions were a bummer, weren't they? Having your honeymoon cancelled, that must be hard. That must have been hard. Anyway, I hope you're going somewhere nice for your anniversary. I know. I think September is always a good month for weddings. I only say that because that's when I got married as well. I didn't bring a drink with me today. Luckily, it's only a few minutes to go before the end of the show, so we can keep it going. I'm trying to think. Was there one more? There is still one more rotten egg to find. If anybody can see it, I am blocking it slightly, so I'll stick this way slightly and see if anybody else notices it. Trying to think. What other pests have we got? I think we've done deer, pigeons, rabbits. I haven't really talked about rabbits. Again, that's not a problem I've had much trouble with. The rabbits are a bit like badgers. They can come in and they can cause a lot of damage. So I don't think it said which garden it was on guard as well, but I can remember it was absolutely stunning. I did wonder if it was West Dean because they said a walled garden, and I thought my first thought was West Dean, and Adam Frost I think was the one there. It's only an advert I saw on Facebook. West Dean used to be my favourite garden to go and visit, but I haven't been there for a while. Wow. I was disappointed when I last went there, to be honest. Currently sowing seeds in the back garden. I want to sow it all. Yeah, that happens, doesn't it? It gets like you just want to grow everything. I find that a lot. Is it in the right-hand box of 3 on the tool? It's not the ones. It's not the one I was thinking of, but there are actually just there. Oh. I dropped it on the floor. There are a couple more of the little Kinder eggs. Wasn't there something about salmonella in these Kinder eggs this week? Must go. See you all next week. Happy gardening all. Lovely to see you, Stuart. See you next week. Yeah. So anybody who did happen to see it and did know which garden it was. I'm going to have to try and catch it up and see if I can't watch it on iPlayer anymore, so I don't know how I'm going to see it and find out. I'm more curious than anything. Let's say West Dean is a garden that I used to go to Chili Fiesta to once a year, and it was absolutely beautiful walled gardens, just full of a lot of vegetables and orchards galore. Absolutely stunning place to go and visit. And then the original gardeners, who were the ones that restored it and brought it up, they retired a couple of years ago now, and another gardener took over it, Tom Brown, who used to garden at Parham House. I used to like it there, and as a new gardener comes along, they had their own stamp on it. So I've got to see how he's changed it. When we were married 15 years ago, we did not have a honeymoon. We went off, got married by afternoon back on the farm. Very nice, Adrian. When I got married, I can't remember how many years ago now. Not that long, of course. We got married on a farm, believe it or not, in beautiful South Downs setting. They had a wildflower meadow. West Dean had a wildflower meadow as well. I meant Denman's Garden, Fontwell, Rich. Sorry, no, I thought you meant Denman's Garden in Fontwell. I've never been to that one, but I think I'm not sure if it was that one or West Dean. I'm going to have to find out. Allium leaf miner, not something I have encountered yet. So yes, that's another one we haven't mentioned. Allium leaf miner. Another pest. Again, not have many problems with that. Tends to attack things like garlic and onions and alliums, obviously. Again, not have many problems with that. I'm trying to think. Is that the one? There's one of the. I think it's cabbage fly. Yeah, you would pot like tinfoil underneath the plant to reflect the sky, and that would disorientate some of the plants. Margaret has said it was definitely West Dean Gardens. It was definitely West Dean Gardens. I had a suspicion it was, so I'm going to have to go and watch a clip of it on rerun and just see how it's changed. I'm going to have one of these Kinder eggs there and begging me to eat them. Very nice. Yeah, West Dean Gardens, absolutely beautiful place. I went there many times for Chili Fiesta, and one of my favourite walled gardens because of how much vegetables they would grow it in that garden. So it'd be interesting to see just how they've changed things up. With a new gardener comes along, everything changes. We all know that. That's they put their own little mark on it. And yeah, I would love to visit it. It looked absolutely stunning. It really is worth a visit, Rebecca. If you ever do come down to it, let us know, and I'll come along with you as well. And because it's not far from where I live at all. And the same for anyone who comes in this area. Let us know, and we'll go visit these gardens. I do like those around the garden. One of my favourite gardens to go and visit is Audley End House in Essex and Saffron Walden. I don't know if anybody out there has been to that one, but that was absolutely stunning. Beautiful, large acreage, huge fields with this beautiful walled garden. And it even had, in the hothouses, the remains of the old heating system that was wood-fired from Victorian times. And the under gardener, the apprentice gardener, the youngest gardener, had to stay up all night stoking that fire and keep it going throughout the winter. Otherwise, he would have lost his job. That's what I love about visiting these gardens. It's always amazing to see how these things worked and how entire ecosystems from the people that worked there cropped up. Like my late gardening friend said, plant one for you and one for the wildlife, then everyone is happy. I agree with that. I totally agree with that with this pest control, of course. I'll keep that up for a minute. I'm a firm believer in allowing some of your crops to be lost to certain pests. It's a bit of an annoyance, I know, but sometimes you've just got to like it and get on with it. I remember when I was very, very young, and my dad probably won't remember this, but we had this apple tree in our garden. And one day my dad we picked some apples and he cut an apple in half, and there was this little maggot inside, which popped me right off eating that apple again. But it is what happens, isn't it? I just touched the microphone in my hand there, sorry. It is what happens sometimes, isn't it? You get some maggots inside apples or something and it puts you off, but you've got to accept it. I think so, unless you go down the chemical route, which I do not like. I do not like chemicals at all, because at the end of the day I want to eat it. I don't want to be pumped full of chemicals, so why would I use it? That's my logic anyway. Yeah. I mean, chemicals, I know there are people out there who do use chemicals. I don't tell anybody off or give anybody any bad what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think ill of anybody that does use chemicals, but I try not to. That's why I like to do my gardening. It's what I do, not what everyone should do. Well, yeah, this is right. That cider's just repeated on me again. Right, I know this is why I don't drink. The one time I do have a couple of drinks, I really struggle, and I didn't even drink that much. Though it was a late night, I've seen a band. Well, we've got about 5 minutes to go. If anybody does want to call in, 07307 135 174, and I'm just going to add a link in and keep it going. Adrian says, the last time I went to Westing Gardens, there was a couple of girls who had a ceramic restoration business there. I've never seen that when I've been there, but I know just outside of Westing Gardens is the Wilder Downland Open Air Museum, and I think there's a lot of those sort of restoration businesses in that bit. But I can't say I've ever seen it inside of Westing Gardens. But the house, Westing House, thinking about it, there was a lot of artwork in there as well. Like I said, my favourite one has got to be Audley End House. I haven't visited that for a few years. But I know Gardeners World Live Autumn Fair, because they're doing an autumn one as well, is there. So I'll probably be going to that one as well. I've got to check the dates on that and find out when it is. Yeah, there's quite a few shows I'm planning to attend this year as well, actually. I know we come to the end of the show, but Gardeners World Live in Birmingham at the NEC. That's always a good one to go to, I think. Trying to think, there's Gardeners World. No more Gardeners World. Hoping to, excuse me, sorry. Hoping to try and get to our local flower and fate show this year. I never managed it for some reason. And I should go to it a bit more. I don't know if anybody else goes to their local flower and fete and get involved in that at all, because I've never done it. I've never really done it here. I used to do it in the village I grew up in, go along on a yearly basis, sorry, and join in with that. Yeah. Other shows. What other shows are there we go into? Or gardens to go and visit. Really. Or are you going Thursday? Well, to Gardeners World Live in Birmingham? Is that Thursday? Probably will be the Thursday. I'm not sure yet. Thomas, are you going to Malvern this year? I've never been. I might go to the NEC too. I don't know about Malvern. I might be going to Malvern. I haven't checked the dates on that one because they do a spring one and an autumn one. But yeah, I'd like to go to Malvern. I went to that in 2019, I think it was. Really enjoyed the spring one. The autumn one, I'm told, has got more fruit and veg. I think Hearts. What was the big one I was meant to go? Rebecca says yes. Yeah, I probably will be going on the Thursday. I might go for a couple of days this year. Sleep in the van, so I've got the option to do that. What's the big one? Big one that I want to say Hartlepool, but I don't think that's what I mean. Termis, we could rendezvous at the NEC. Yeah, that would be cool. I think if I'll go on a Thursday and a Friday, if I can get to that all. We can all run. Anybody who is going to that. Chatsworth, that's another one that I'd probably be thinking about going. I can't remember when it is. It's RHS as well. I know Chelsea is one I get not allowed to go to because I'm a broadcaster and BBC has the rights. But Chatsworth, I think you can go to. I'm just going to apply. They're really difficult to apply for some of these press passes, that is. Right, I'm going to start wrapping this up because I know I've struggled tonight, and apologies for that. I'm going to the NEC Friday. If you need someone to stay on the way to the NEC, Richard, to break it up, we have a guest room. Well, thank you. I'll let you know about that. Like I say, I do have the a camper van, so I'm pretty sorted on that, but we'll let you know near at that time. Right, yeah, I'm going to start wrapping this up and get out of here because I've struggled so much. This hangover, I'm not going to drink on a Saturday again. I know that. It's very rare I do drink anyway. Anyway, thanks so much for sticking with me and all the best. Don't forget to give us a like, a thumbs up and all that. And in next week, so we're going to prick out some seeds, some seedlings, and discuss how often to water and let you guys join in with a conversation on that. So until next time, you guys, I've got to set this up again, haven't I? It's la 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 la. Yeah, that's it. Right. Until next time, you take care. I'll speak to you again very soon.